Right, joining us now on Newsnight is Elatuyi, electricity market design specialist, to help us make sense of this sharp jump in subsidy payment. Thank you very much for joining us on Newsnight.
Let's start with the figures. 1.94 trillion naira in subsidies, it says, but barely any of it was paid by the federal government. Who is absorbing all that cost at the moment? Are you able to make sense of that?
The amount just mentioned now, 1.9 trillion naira, well, the subsidy for 2024. So if you look at the budgetary allocation for the subsidy in 2024, just 450 billion naira. And from what I heard, I think that was even used to offset the subsidy for 2023. So the subsidy burden for 2024 was around 3.2 trillion naira. So by the wisdom of the regulator, and there was the band classification, and a certain percentage of the consumers, just 15% of them, were asked to pay the cost-reflective tariff. So that's actually lowered the subsidy burden to 1.9 trillion naira for 2024. But if you look at the budgetary allocation, what government made available for subsidy payment was just 450 billion, which was even used to offset the preceding year. That was 2023 subsidy. So the question is, who is absorbing this loss?
Yeah.
So if you look at the payment waterfall in the power sector, why other players, sector players and market players are earning the income and revenue 100%, GenCos, the generation companies of Nigeria, are the one bearing this burden of subsidy that is not being paid. So if you ask me, GenCos, they are the one bearing these losses, the burden presently.
Now, in spite of the fact that we had this band A tariff hike, since April 2024, that was supposed to, make the sector a bit more liquid, I believe. What exactly is giving rise to this? And is it even sustainable, this electricity tariff, in the long run? Is it sustainable? Can government really continue to pay this tariff subsidy?
The idea of subsidy, or the idea of band classification, is just lower the burden of subsidy on the federal government. So, but we saw the pushback even from the band A customers. As I speak to you, most of the customers, even under band A, are even engaging in energy theft. So the other consumers, those in band B and below, they're not paying cost-reflective tariff, or they're deemed not being able to pay the cost-reflective tariff. So government is saying that, okay, by policy, because every government does not want to appear insensitive to the plight of Nigerians, given the economic reality in the country today. So if you're saying every consumer should pay cost-reflective tariff, they know what the consequence is going to be. But here's the problem: government does not have the money to pay subsidy again. So a subsidy that is not being cash backed. So this year, the subsidy burden is projected to be up around 2.3 trillion naira, 2.3 trillion naira. But you asked me what's the provision for subsidy in the budget in 2025 is probably 900 billion naira. So if you do the minus, so we're still going to have a lot of huge deficit, shortfall.
Yeah.
So that's the problem.
Great. So what I hear you say on the tone is that it's not reflective. Our electricity tariff is not reflective. There will always be subsidy, and government cannot afford subsidy. There will be shortfall, and the people continue to push back. There's a whole lot of problems in that mix. So the question then would be: is there a smarter way to support poor households and allow the GenCos, DISCOs, and all of those value chain breathe?
There are mechanisms through which you can actually reduce the subsidy burden on the federal government. If you look at the Electricity Act 2023, a provision was actually made in that act. We call it PCAF Fund. That is Power Consumer Assistance Fund. But the problem is that that fund is not being operationalized as we speak, because you look at the sources of that fund for that PCAF is from the market, from the consumers, and from eligible customers. But the problem is that that fund is not being operationalized now, so that cannot be relied on. So I think what can be done is if we move from this current market stage, we transit to a competitive electricity market whereby there's competition in generation, so that if GenCos can choose who their supplier is, if there's competition in how we buy and sell electricity, that lowers electricity price. So unless we are able to ensure that the price component of our tariff is lowered, if generation price is lowered, if transmission loss is reduced, if ATC&C loss at the distribution level is reduced to a reasonable percentage, then we can have a cost that is lower than what we have right now. If you look at the generation cost for now, it stands at 112 naira. So the tariff for band B customers is about 63 naira. That means even band B are not even paying the cost of generation alone. So the other components of the tariff, the transmission cost is there, the one for CBN loan that was lent to the sector is there, the one for meter acquisition fund is there, the one for distribution companies is there. So I think if we don't move away from this current market design, single buyer, whereby GenCos, where DISCOs buy electricity in credit from the GenCos, and they're not cash backed, and even bank guarantees that are supposed to place down, they're not putting it down. And even this current market design does not incentivize DISCOs to be efficient in their operations. Beyond that, there are other challenges that even DISCOs are facing. Energy theft is a major problem. Right. MDS debt is a major problem. So it's a whole lot of systemic problem that we have in the sector. So if you ask me, in which way can we lessen this burden of subsidy? Let PCAF be operationalized as provided for in the Electricity Act. Then we have to move away from this current market stage. Let there be competition. Let there be a case of demand and supply. So if there's competition in generation, that lowers price, because generators will be able to offer lower price in order to beat other competitors. But
there are indications that the same people behind the DISCOs actually behind the GenCos too. I mean, I've heard such. But look, what are the implications of allowing this situation to persist?
For
the economy, more importantly, for the power sector itself, and for the economy?
For the power sector, I think I'm going to start from the economy. You know, without electricity, we can't really run a 21st century economy.
No doubt.
So we need power, even for small and medium-scale enterprises. Everybody needs power. And for the sector, we have a problem of resource adequacy, in the sense that we have a nameplate capacity of 13,000 megawatts, but what is available in the sense is not even, it's barely 5,800 megawatts. So that's a problem. So we will not be able to attract investments into the sector, because investors want to come to a country or a market whereby if they put money down, they will be able to, there has to be a clear path to cost recovery. And if that is not being guaranteed, they're not going to come to our country. So for the sector, the problem has always been there. The problem is not going. We keep on talking about it every time, and we're not solving it. We're not solving it at all. So for the GenCos, I barely pity them, because they're barely surviving. They're barely surviving.
We really do have an issue there. Lanre Elatuyi, electricity market design specialist. Maybe they should be engaging you to design the electricity sector.
Indeed.
For that, we need your expertise, so we can really get this fixed once and for all. But I have to say thank you very much for joining us, Lanre Elatuyi, again.